Okay, so you have the Big Bang Theory. The idea that the universe started from a sub-Planck length and an explosion ensued, and all of a sudden, billions of years later, we're all here. Well, the question is, when scientists measure this event in time value, they measure the first millionth of a second after the Big Bang, they measure the first 100,000ths of a second, and all the way to the first second and beyond, as if somebody was watching. If there were no organic life forms at the time of the Big Bang, was there consciousness? Was the universe self-aware? Did the universe itself see the Big Bang? Did it hear it? Did it feel it? And if there was nobody there, then how could it have happened? The big question is about the Big Bang. Was there the big consciousness first? Did anybody see it? And if this consciousness saw it then and experienced the Big Bang, then where is this consciousness today? Are there fields of awareness in the fabric of space itself? Is there consciousness beyond the physical? Is this the secret to enlightenment? And can scientists verify that the field of awareness actually exists and pre-existed the Big Bang? $6.6 billion people, one planet, one global consciousness. Why do we experience suffering? Why is there war? What is our true potential to become enlightened, individually and as a civilization? What was the fall from grace? How do we become free again? Over 9 million people worldwide are incarcerated in prisons. 3.3 billion of the world's populations live in cities, geometrically designed to serve and to enslave us in perpetual debt and inflation economics. The question is there a matrix? Is there a proverbial prison for our minds? What is the matrix? In mathematics, it is a rectangular array of numbers considered as a single entity. A matrix is distinguished by the number of rows and columns it contains, a building, house, or city. The deeper level of the matrix is that we are the matrix. It is a simulation created by the architect of our minds to entertain us while we suffer. All that we know as real is actually a simulation of reality, our inner reality. The real question is, how do we attain freedom from the matrix, transform our minds, and attain liberation? Every time a home doubles in price, people have to drive their cars twice as much to make more money to pay for it. In 1988, as a nation, Americans drove 1.5 trillion miles. By 2007, that figure has doubled to nearly 3 trillion miles per year. That means doubling greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, oil production, and more wars are fought over oil. Everything costs more, and inflation chases the proverbial rabbit. Is there a prison for our minds? Today, human beings suffer from more and more depression than at any other time in our history. According to the World Health Organization, heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the world, killing over 7.2 million people per year. In the United States of America, there were 1.4 billion prescriptions for antidepressants. Millions of those were for children under the age of 18. The numbers of severely depressed human beings goes far beyond those that are taking medication for it. 1 million people worldwide commit suicide every year. What is the answer to our total freedom? Is the answer hidden deep inside of the mystical experience? Is the answer to our enlightenment available now? Over 2000 BC, Judaism begins with a covenant between God and Abraham. Its lineage goes back even farther to the time of Genesis, of Adam and Eve, the birth of humanity. Before 2200 BC, Krishna, the Hindu incarnation of God, taught the way to total freedom from suffering and the attainment of a non-dual reality filled with inner bliss and inner realization. By 1500 to 1200 BC, the Hindu Vedic teachings began, giving the foundations for perpetual liberation through the deep science of mantra, sound, and the true nature of the mind and God. In the 6th century BC, Pythagoras taught a lineage of an awakening of intelligence, enlightenment that influenced many of the great mystics and scholars, from Plato to Socrates, creating the foundations of the true democratic and evolved political processes. In the 6th century BC, Gautama the Buddha's first words upon attaining nirvana while sitting under the Bodhi tree in deep meditation was, "There is suffering." He then taught an eightfold path that leads to the cessation and transcendence of suffering by attaining enlightenment. For those who attain it, they become Buddhas, Tathagatas, or fully enlightened ones. In the Common Era, Jesus and his mother Mary taught a way to end violence, attain the kingdom of heaven within, and wipe every tear from every eye. For his saints, such as Saint Teresa of Avila, Bernadette of Lourdes, Francis of Assisi, Dante Alighieri, Emanuel Swedenborg, there was the attainment of enlightenment. For his faithful followers, there is the bountiful new paradise earth. Today, global destruction of the ecology, war, disease, death, oppression, depression, and enlightenment all exist at the same time. Humanity now faces a critical juncture. What if it can attain enlightenment individually, one light bulb at a time? What if humanity can survive all of the challenges it faces and live in an age of sustainability? What if humanity, with the awakening of deeper intelligence and enlightenment, can advance science to the point that it can enter an interstellar community and meet with other civilizations? What have we lost by turning our backs away from the deep mystical teachings, practices, and experience inside of all of our own religions? Can it help guide us to an awakening of intelligence, to end war, depression, disease, and help guide us on our journey towards a new civilization? Considering global warming, sewage pollution, and the inconvenient truth of Al Gore, the proof that we may be heading towards a mass extinction event through either global warming causing an ice age, or two, global warming causing massive virus outbreaks. What is the Tibetan Buddhist view on an exodus from a planet? If we destroy this planet and we are psychologically and ecologically involved in its destruction, where do 6.5 billion souls go from Tibet? Where do they find a new home if they seek reincarnation? And
well, first of all, from the point of view of the Buddhists, the planet is not destroyed. Even though we're trashing it, we will come to our senses, and they predict, and it will not be destroyed. We may go through more hardships and so on, but a total ice age or a total meltdown or a nuclear holocaust is not going to happen according to their predictions. That doesn't mean that's so, but I mean that's what they think. So that's point one. I always thought, ever since the Death Star incident in Star Wars, where Obi-Wan and Luke are flying somewhere, and then there's a shudder and a disturbance in the Force, because the Death Star has actually destroyed a particular planet with many billions of souls on it, and Obi-Wan shudders, But I always thought that in the Buddhist cosmology, there's billions and trillions and countless numbers of planets with humanoid beings on them. We've been on many other planets many times.
Oh, wow.
We will be on many other planets many other times. And we will, therefore, all the souls, if a whole planet was destroyed in a supernova Death Star, the souls would be reborn other places. And we ourselves have been through many big bangs and big crunches, all beings, because life is beginningless from the point of view of the Buddhists. And so there's always more places to live. However, the sort of archangels, if you could say, the bodhisattvas, you know, the compassionate beings who are making a huge effort, although they didn't create the world, they don't create it, they don't control people absolutely. On a relative sense, they're quite powerful in their trying to arrange circumstances for living beings to be optimal for them to wake up and become themselves bodhisattvas and become enlightened. So from a Buddhist point of view, they will do a lot in their power, and they do have considerable power to prevent us from destroying ourselves. In other words, the way we behave as human beings, our governments and everything, and our chauvinistic, and especially male chauvinistic habits, having had nuclear weapons now for over 50 years, that we haven't killed each other totally or had a nuclear holocaust is itself a miracle. And the Tibetan Buddhists would argue this miracle is not really a miracle, it is the miraculous activity of enlightened angelic beings, but not an they don't believe in an omnipotent deity that absolutely controls everything, because then you'd have to blame the bad situation on that deity, and they think that's illogical, that's very irrational. But that there are these powerful angelic forces seeing to it that we continue to learn our lessons, that we use this theater of life to evolve in the optimal, you know, most rapid way toward our enlightenment. That is what the Mahayana Buddhists would believe.
You know, when you read mystical experiences, it appears it's far out there, it's so difficult to achieve, it's somewhere in a distant world. But you know, when it comes to you as an experience, it is so real, it's so real, it's such a simple and practical thing to be. There is one rule for those who go into deep experiences of samadhi, that they are not supposed to share it with others. You know the reason? Because the student then starts imagining that type of state or start craving for that state. And that craving for a particular experience becomes an impediment in getting that experience.
There are many stories of enlightenment. You see yourself on flowers. You hear your voice on trickling sound or chirping birds, or